The University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh Fox Cities campus assists the City of Menasha with video recordings of city meetings. Menasha residents and interested parties can get information about city meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the city website, www.cityofmenasha-wi.gov. To express opinions about City of Menasha issues or these broadcasts, contact the Mayor's office, 920-967-3608. Contact the City Alderman. Contact information appears on the website. Or complete the electronic feedback form on the City website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Common Council to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could have the roll, please.
Alderman Schmidt. Here. Alderman Tom Grady. Here. Alderman Ted Grady. Here. Alderman Rapella. Here. Alderman Nichols. Here. Alderman Sevenik. Here. All are present with the absence of Alderman Taylor and Alderman Langdon.
Thank you. Item D is public hearings. We have 4 public hearings tonight. So I'll have Director Schrader kind of go through a short synopsis of each, and we'll let the public comment if they have desires to do so.
Certainly. So the first rezoning or public hearing notice is for proposed rezoning along the Whitman Drive parcel. This is a vacant piece of property located just north of Whitman Drive and west of Parkside Drive. So if you can kind of imagine where the Kenwood Business Park is, just south of there, or kind of where the Piggly Wiggly is, kind of to the southwest of that. So currently, the property is zoned single-family residential R1. This property was annexed, I believe, in 2015 as part of a larger annexation into the City of Menasha. At that time, the designation of R1 district was established. We currently have a request to rezone this property from R1 single-family to C1 general commercial. This does fall in line with our comprehensive plan. This was just updated this past year. This area calls out for neighborhood mixed use, which is somewhat of a light commercial district. We do have a note within our comprehensive plan to look at creating a new district, but at this time that neighborhood mixed use, really a C1 zoning classification would likely be best to fit that type of zoning. This did go in front of the Plan Commission. Earlier this month, the Plan Commission did hold a public hearing and did review as well as recommend approval of this ordinance to rezone this property from R1 to C1 general commercial. So with that, staff can turn it back over to the mayor.
Okay. If there's anyone from the public who would like to speak about this, if you could step forward. And if I could get your name and address for the record, please, sir.
I'm Adrian Martin, 1300 Whitman Park Lane. I'm the president of the Whitman Park Condo Association, and I'm here tonight representing the 42 owners. I'm a graduate of St. Mary's High School class of 1962, and after college, my career took me out of Menasha. But in 1997, 2 years before I was going to retire from teaching, I had an opportunity to buy a condo in Whitman Park Condos. Why? Why was I drawn there? Peace, tranquility, no traffic, no noise, closeness to nature. I want to thank our alderperson, Ann Schmidt, who came and in a cold and windy weekend and looked at our property and looked at our concerns, and we walked the property in question. I'm sure you all understand that in rezoning, that those who are within 100 feet, which Whitman Park condos are to receive a first-class mail indicating the time and date of the Planning Commission meeting. We received no letter. Prairie Home Assisted Living, who's also on the mailing list that I was sent by the Planning Commission, I talked to their director. They did not receive anything in the mail either. I attended the planning meeting only because I saw a sign that was posted on the property that is to be considered for rezoning. If I hadn't seen that sign, our condo association probably would have had to find out about the rezoning after the fact by reading minutes of the council meeting. 42% of our owners are retirees. Craig from 3D Services gave me a map of his proposal. I sent it out to the members along with a cover letter, asked them to respond in writing about their concerns. Sam has received a number of those, as has Ann. What did the owners say? They're concerned about the wildlife habitat and the wetlands that are on this property. There are deer, turkeys, all kinds of birds that come onto our property from the wetlands and the habitat. Right now, we have a nesting pair of cranes that have been there for a number of years. And on the other property at Beverage Zone are another pair of cranes, but they are not nesting currently. Last year, the Sandhill cranes had 2 colts, as the babies are known as, that eventually were able to work onto our property. Sandhill cranes have federal protection. People also talked about noise pollution and traffic. They talked about the decline of property values and wondered whether there are other sites in Menasha that would best serve Craig and 3D landscaping. Some people have health allergies, COPD, and are concerned about the dust that's going to be in the air. I have talked to the engineering firm that has done preliminary work, and they have indicated to me that at some point the DNR is going to get involved with the discussion on the wetlands which are on the property. The part that I read about getting the letter, in a sentence or two after that, it talks about due diligence, is not getting a planning meeting letter or notice to us. Is that due diligence? Having a sign put up in a corner of a property that could have been blown over by wind, which we had in, is that due diligence? Has anybody else walked that property besides Ann? We feel that we're rushing to a decision before a complete environmental impact by the engineering firm is due. The rezoning process seems to be on a fast track, and not all of the i's have been dotted, not all the t's have been crossed yet. The Whitman Park Condo Association urges the council to table the rezoning for further review. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening?
Well, good afternoon. My name is Walt Albrecht. I also live at Whitman Park Condominium Association, and the address is 1304 Whitman Park Lane. Again, the name is Walt Albrecht. I reached out to our neighbors. There are 42 condo units in our condo community, representing 50, 60 people. And we easily gathered up in 1 week 14 different letters of disapproval for this rezoning. Very strong opinions, and we sent them on to Sam. Sam, excuse me, did you receive those, and were they distributed to the council members?
The emails were.
The emails were, okay. All right, so if you had the opportunity of looking at them, you can see the strong feeling, the clear, strong feeling of disapproval. Our community is 40 years old, all right? And it is a beautiful community. What's unique about it is this coexistence with the wildlife species there. There's almost a dozen of them. And prime among them are the majestic sandhill cranes. And as Adrian mentioned, by federal law, their nesting is protected and harassment against these birds. All right? They need area to forage, to feed, and to train their young how to fly. And that parcel in question is what they use to forage and train their offspring to fly, as well as neighboring fields as well. Taking away that parcel is taking away their direct habitat. I also mentioned in my letter, did you know that in 1930 here in Wisconsin, the sandhill crane population was reduced to 24 breeding pair, nearly extinct, 1930, 90 years ago, all right? But by proper protections of the birds themselves and their habitat, they have rebounded. That is your consideration today. So, thank you for the opportunity of speaking, and it's a very unique community where we live. Perhaps no other like it in the city of Menasha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Terry Whitman. I'm representing Whitman Trust, the current owners of the land we're in question. My address is W6929 Fire Lane number 4. I guess I'm on the opposite side of the two gentlemen that just spoke. We have 14 acres back there, and we're asking to sell 1.58 of it. Okay, so there'll still be 12 and a half acres that are really wetlands like they were talking about. And we plan on leaving it like that. We did have a buyer. Craig Korth, who's a Menasha guy, just is a nice fit for why we said yes to them. He is planning on putting up a building and parking his trucks in that building. And that's it. He's a landscaper. He promised at the last meeting that you had that he was going to take care of it. It's not going to be junk sitting everywhere. In fact, he has his trucks over by Bubba's now, and you don't even know he's there. So I do believe he's a good fit because he's a Menasha guy and he cares about Menasha. The negative with not being able to sell is we're paying $11,000 in taxes, property taxes, every year. Now, this is since Dad died 2009, Mom 2012, and there's not an income for this property. It just sits there. And we've had it for sale for 10 years. The reason we wanted to go from residential to commercial is there are commercial everywhere to the right of that. You know, I'm talking about Piggly Wiggly and that way. And of course, residents sit on the other side of the street, the condos, and we like the Whitman condos. We like the apartments. My mother-in-law lives in the apartments. We don't have a problem with that. But we're asking to be zoned commercial so that Craig Korth, who has a land contract with us, can purchase it and eventually put up a building. He said he's very busy with Bergstrom. He has a big contract with Home Depot. He does class work, and I think he would take care of that property. So that's my comments.
Thank you. Is there anyone else this evening? Seeing no one else, the other three public hearings are all for the Quick Trip property. So if you want to kind of explain the three of them together, then we'll take comments on those.
Yeah, certainly. As this body is well aware, we've been working for some time with the Village of Fox Crossing to annex or attach certain properties from the village to the city. Following that, we have received the official applications from Quick Trip Convenience Store to construct a new facility at the corner of 9th and Racine Road. According to, or looking at the site, there's currently multiple parcels that are in the area, only one of which is currently zoned R1 single family. So part of this public hearing is one to rezone that one single family house and lot into C1 general commercial to match all the adjoining properties. What that allows them to do is to actually combine all those properties into one site. The other request, a gas station per the zoning code does require a special use permit. So again, going through this special process, looking at additional criteria, how it impacts the neighborhood, as well as requiring public hearing and public notices. So part of this is in addition to go through that process. And then the last part is the EMC or Electronic Message Center sign. So Quick Trip does have two proposed signs, one along Racine Road, as well as one along 9th Street there. And per, again, the updated ordinance a couple years ago, being within 300 feet of a residential property, that also does, that type of sign does require a special use permit. So today, again, to rezone one of the 6 properties, I believe, to approve a special use permit for the actual convenience store itself, and then to approve a special use permit for the electronic message center.
So is there anyone here to speak regarding the Quick Trip site?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Troy Malezova, Quick Trip Real Estate, 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin. I think Sam's going to do a little more in-depth presentation, but just like to register in support of the 3 items on the agenda related to our project, and happy to answer questions if you need me along the way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing no one else, we'll move on to the report of department heads, staff, and consultants. We have the minutes and communications. Do we have a motion? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like for us to receive minutes A through G and communications H through O.
There's a motion in several seconds. Any discussion?
I had something, but I can't think of what it is. I just should have wrote it down.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay. Any opposed? The motion carries. Item F is public comments. Mayor Crawford was here this evening. Is he still back there? There he is. He has another meeting to attend to, but he wanted to address the council this evening before his term ends in about, what, 15 minutes or something like that?
For an hour and 17 minutes.
Okay.
Countdown clock, now I have to go the other way. So, thank you for allowing me a couple minutes. Mayor Dean Crawford, City of Neenah, for 1360 Alpine Lane. I just did want to stop by and say hello, say not goodbye, but to tell you that it's been a great run here. And, you know, as someone who was born in Menasha, the house directly across the fish fry, actually in that house, I guess, they tell me. So now I go to the fish fry for other reasons. But you know, Menasha guy who grew up here in Clovis Grove School and lived next door to the house on De Pere on the curve where they erected the concrete abutment because cars would wake us up in the middle of the night during the winter because they'd miss the corner. But it's been quite a opportunity for me and quite a career. And I said at the beginning I was going to do this public service for 12 years and then I was going to go back to the real world. Jim Ryland would always remind me when my 12 years was up. Those of you know who Jim Ryland was. But you know, we have done some good things as communities here. We worked well together. We had a lot of great collaboration, a lot of good partnerships. You know, years ago when I first started running, we were actually known as the Twin Cities. Twin City News Record, people would refer to us as the Twin Cities. The only thing that separated us was Nicolay Boulevard. And people who aren't from the area, they don't know if they're in Neenah or Menasha many times. And so that's what's great and unique about our communities. And we've done extremely well over in the city of Neenah. You folks are doing very good things. The city of Menasha has changed dramatically from when I represented it in the early 90s, all for the positive. And I commend each and every one of you, the department heads, the staff, the mayor, and the council. you know, we're all competitive, we all want to take care of our communities, but in order to get ahead, we got to act like a region. And we've done that with things like the Exhibition Center, the Champion Center, where we have done things as 10 communities, and it works out good for all of us. So we share a fire department, which is going extremely well. The sewage commission, the reciprocity in our parks. And so I just wanted to stop because you guys have been a part of my life, and it's been a heck of a fun ride. I've enjoyed meeting with each and every one of you. We've worked well together, served on some committees with Sam. Pam has filled in as the city attorney and done it very well for us when we needed the help. But we got something special here in the Fox Cities. We got something special in Menasha. I want to commend each and every one of you for the jobs that you do. I want to congratulate the new members of the city council that are going to be sworn in later. You know, Stan and I, we go back a long time. We ran 1990 against each other. But I still respect the guy, and he does a great job for your community. So, and Mayor Merkus, it's been a pleasure working with you, and we have done some good things. And we've made a difference, and you've made a difference to your community. So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. It's been a fun ride. I'll still be around. They let me across Nicolay Boulevard once in a while. And thank you all very, very much for a wonderful life. So thank you.
Thank you, Dean. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to getting the bubble machines for the parades, so don't leave without those. Is there anyone else from the public that wants to follow that? Go ahead.
Can I follow that?
You would speak at the end of the meeting if you want to talk about outgoing council members or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, we have a spot at the end of the meeting, sir.
Thank you. Hello, thank you for your time. My name is Matt Werner. Address is 2527 Kirkland Court. I live in Appleton. I don't think it is up to guys to talk about today, but I don't know if Corey Gordon put in your like packets referencing the airport road project for asphalt concrete. I work for Wallback Group, and I'm just here to talk about why I feel that asphalt would be the best choice. By all metrics, asphalt is consistently the best option for cost, safety, speed of construction, and smoothness. The asphalt is better when you factor everything into it. When you factor in maintenance, the user delay, reconstruction, rehabilitation, restoration, resurfacing costs. Bottom line, asphalt is better. For the speed and safety of construction, asphalt roads do not require curing time, and they can accommodate traffic as soon as the rollers are finished. Roads can be paved in a lane at a time, minimizing disruption to commuters, reducing congestion through speedy construction practices. It saves the taxpayers thousands of dollars. This also reduces construction workers being in construction zones. Lastly, on this topic, the project has a 5-week window from start to finish. And I think that because of the tight window, that asphalt is the best way to go because of the speed of construction. The smoothness factor, the Federal Highway Administration has determined that pavement smoothness is a key factor in ensuring road satisfaction. Furthermore, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation acknowledges that asphalt measures smoother than new concrete roads. Smoothness matters, and asphalt is known as the smooth ride. In summary, I believe asphalt would be best for this project when taking everything into consideration. I, along with many, many others at our company, live in this area, drive on these roads, and take great pride in delivering a product that taxpayers are happy about in the end. I can take any questions, otherwise thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming this evening. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? Okay. Seeing no one else, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there any items that you wish separated this evening? Alderman Sevenek?
Thank you, Mayor. I think at this point, we're going to take all of them
That's fine.
individually. And with that, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of 4/4 of '22.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? The motion carries. Item 2. Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the development agreement by and between the City of Menasha and Menasha Real Estate LLC for the development of 31 residential lots of the first addition to Lake Park Heights as recommended by the Administration Committee.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carries 6-0.
Is there a motion for item 3? Alderman Sevenick.
Are we not also changing the, oh, never mind. So this is just a policy, so at this time I'll move that we approve the neighborhood street sign policy with amendments.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Why is it with amendments put in there?
It should probably say as amended,
As
but it's as amended at the last meeting. Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Do we have a motion for item 4? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll like to make a motion that we award unit number 2022-02 to Vinton Construction for the alternate bid, option 2, in the amount of $855,638.
Is there a second? Second. So motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Do we have a motion for item 5? Alderman Sevenick?
I have a quick question then.
Sure.
Corey, is this the one that the gentleman just spoke on?
That was the last one.
That was the last one, the 855?
Correct. That would have been item number 4.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I didn't get the two mixed up.
But you are also awarding them our standard asphalt number 5 would be that contract, yes.
But it's not for Midway Road to be blacktop.
Airport Road, no, it is not. It is for a portion of 8th Street,
Okay.
a portion of 7th
I got
and
it.
Pleasant.
Yep. All right. Mayor, with that, then I'd like to make a motion to award contract 2022-03, the street construction and rehabilitation of the various street locations to Northeast Asphalt in the amount of $584,731.50.
So motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Item 6, Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like for us to approve the agreement for professional services with McMahon and Associates Incorporated for urban non-point source and stormwater planning grant in the amount of $172,950.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? I think it was it Ted or was it? It was Ted, yeah. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Item 7 is from the Plan Commission. Do we have a motion? Alderman Schmidt.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certified survey map for lot division at 1026 Woodcrest Drive, parcel number 7-00849001.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Tom Grady. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Item 8 is another CSM. Alderman Schmidt.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the certified survey map, lot combination of parcels as listed on our packet, with the conditions as outlined. An ordinance amending to the zoning classification of parcel numbers 1-00783-00 to coincide with the proposed CSM as approved by the Common Council, and B, an easement is added for the sidewalk.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. This is for the Woodland Cottages, right?
No, these are the quick trippy ones.
Oh, this is Quick Trip.
These are the quick
Okay.
trip
All
ones.
quick trip.
Yeah.
Just so that I should have been looking a little closer. Motion and a second?
Tom gave a second.
Okay. Any other discussion then? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Item 9, Alderman Schmidt.
I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the special use permit for the parcels as listed, allowing a gas station to operate at this location and allowing the applicant to use planters at the 9th Street and Racine Street sides of the building in substitute for landscaping adjacent to the building requirement, with the community development approving the number of planters.
Second.
Motion is second by Alderman Tom Grady. Any further discussion? Alderman Rapella.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just a little concerned with the electronic message centers. I know we had,
Item 10.
sorry, that's the next one. Sorry, thank you.
Okay, so we got two people that aren't clear of what's going on, me and you. Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, so I can have discussion and seeing you had to redo it.
Okay, Alderman Severnick?
I just want to say that in most cases, I probably wouldn't agree with this, but because it is Quick Trip and I've seen what they have done throughout the valley, that they do take care of these, that I would be in favor.
Much better now the attorney doesn't get to vote.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, item 10, Alderman Schmidt.
Yes, I would like to make a motion for the approval of the special use permit application for the 2 electronic messaging center signs on the parcels as listed for the proposed Quick Trip convenience store, with the following condition: that a completed sign permit application and payment be submitted prior to the installation of the new monument signs.
Second.
It's a motion and a second by Alderman Grady. Alderman Rapella.
Thank you, Mayor. I've seen the signs on the various other Quick Trips. The only concern I have is I remember back, and Sam might remember this, the American Family agent across the street was concerned about putting up a sign, and I remember it was denied or something. He wanted to put up like a different sign versus what he has now, and that was turned down. So I'm just concerned, why was his, I guess, why was his turned down a while back, and Quick Trip's going to have their normal signs up? Sam, do you remember that incident or situation?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know specifically if it's regarding an EMC specifically. That ordinance was updated maybe 2 years ago, where previously it was very hard to get electronic message center. We had several variances come through, and then we looked at the ordinance to bring it up to today's standards and added this requirement that it goes through a special use permit process. So if it is specific to an EMC, again, we can certainly have them reach out to us and we can chat about that.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you very much.
So it actually was relating to a pole sign.
I think
He
so.
had a pole sign there, it was hit by a car.
Right,
And
yeah.
damaged, and he wanted to put up a new pole sign. And that's what the issue was. It wasn't an EMC in that
Okay.
location.
So we didn't allow him to put up a new pole sign?
No, because we don't allow pole signs any place in the city.
Okay, got
So
it.
that was what the issue was.
Okay, so if it wouldn't have been run over, it still would have been up.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sure. Any other discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
So if you ever want to get rid of one, run it over. Alderman Kruger. Former Alderman.
Motion carries 6-0.
Item I is action items. The first is the accounts payable and payroll. Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the accounts payable and payroll for the term of April 1st through April 14th, 2022, in the amount of $3,550,733.51.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Item 2 is for a Class B fermented malt beverage license. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the Class B fermented malt beverage license application for the Menasha Athletic Association, Thomas Konetsky agent at the Coslow Park concession stand, May 1st through October 31st, 2022.
So motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carries 6-0.
Item K is ordinances and resolutions. On Ordinance 5, there is one small typo, I think. It's under Section 15-1-33, item. It's the electrical code. And in Section 3, it should read, failure to demonstrate an emergency condition shall result in double fee per section, should say 15-1-5J, rather than the section it says there. I don't know if anyone has questions on that, or if Director Schrader wants to clarify. Otherwise, if we could have a motion, is that as amended or as corrected? As corrected. Alderman Nichols seems to want to go there, so
Thank you,
ahead.
Mayor. Move to approve Ordinance 522, an ordinance amending Title 15, Article B of the Code of Ordinances as corrected, having to do with the electrical code.
Is there a second? So motion and a second by Alderman Schmidt. Any other discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Start it again. Hold it.
Oh, there it goes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Item 2 is Ordinance 6. Is there a motion? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move for Ordinance 622. An ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 2, Article A, Section 7-2-17, Parent B of the Code of Ordinances for the outdoor food and alcohol beverage permit required at Class B premises, introduced by the mayor.
So motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Tom Grady.
Can't put these two next
I know, we really should put them on opposite sides of the room.
Oh, I thought they were twins.
Discussion.
Yes, I do, Mayor.
Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you. I remember at the last meeting, I thought we had offered this as an amendment, and after reading, I didn't see it in there, so I'm going to offer in the resolution that we only allow this in the C2 Central Business District. So what it would read is, what we are adding to this ordinance is the line that says, an area of limitation does not apply to rooftop service areas in the C2 Central Business District. What, it should say does apply, doesn't it?
Does not apply, no.
Go
So,
ahead, let the city attorney speak on it.
go ahead.
There is a limitation on the size of the square footage, and the purpose of the change is to allow rooftops, beverage services, so that they do not have to follow that same square footage requirement.
But it should only be in, but my thing is that what I had called about is that I only want it allowed in the C2 Central Business District.
Correct. So then that exception to the limitation, because it's actually a limitation, only applies with the proposed amendment to the Central Business District if there's a rooftop service.
I'll read a little further then. No food or outdoor alcoholic beverage permit shall be issued if the outdoor seating area is greater than 50% of the gross floor area of the licensed premises enclosed within the building. The area of limitation does not apply to rooftop service areas in the C2 Central Business District. I don't know, I don't think that reads right, but I'll trust you.
So,
That's why I called ahead, so as I'm not an attorney, she is, so I thought I would have it drafted that way. So I'm-
And in attempting to limit the changes, otherwise, I mean, it could be written different, and then we'd have to change a whole bunch of things.
Okay,
But it's written as a limitation, and then that limitation, what it's saying is it does not apply to a rooftop beverage service, alcohol beverage service that's in this district, the downtown district. So,
So-
but it would, the limitation, the square footage limitation would apply to every other place,
which means they can't have one.
which means that the,
My intent was to only allow it in the C2
correct.
district.
I don't think this does what Stan's trying to do.
Right.
So what this says, and I think what it says, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it says in areas that you're allowed to have an outdoor deck or patio. So there are certain areas in the city that you can and can't. It could be either a rooftop or it could be a patio. But if it's in the downtown area, you can have the rooftop portion be 100% of the roof plus another 50% patio down below. If it's elsewhere in the city, you would only be allowed a patio or a rooftop 50% of the square footage of the building.
And that would just apply to if you wanted outdoor serve,
Yes.
correct? So, which is the way the ordinance reads now, is outdoor serve, any outdoor serve. Number one, you have to be, or you can't be within 100 feet of a homestead property line. And then number two, you're limited in the size. It does not talk about where that placement is, except in regards to, you can't be within 100 feet of a home. But the size is limited. And this ordinance would allow a rooftop beverage serve area in the C2 district without that specific,
So it could be larger in the
Limitation.
C2 district.
correct?
Yes.
Does it make sense? My intention, and I think the council understands, is that I want to limit it to only the C2 district, and so that we don't go all over the place and have issues down the line with what she had mentioned with neighbors and other things. So I'll offer that as an amendment, and I'll give the clerk a copy of this then.
I have copies.
So, oh, you do? All right.
That's
So that's my motion. If I have a second, I need a second. If I don't, it fails.
I'll get a second.
Yeah, this is just the amendment right now.
So that's the way it reads now.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the way it reads now. The only change that is made is allowing rooftop without that limitation in this district.
Sure. So I don't think this does what you want it to do, Stan. So, right, Director Schrader, I don't know if I can explain this better or if you can explain this better. The current ordinance with no changes, without doing anything tonight, I could have a rooftop patio serving alcohol in the commercial districts as long as it was no bigger than half the size of the building and not within 100 feet of a residential property.
Okay.
The ordinance is, okay, fairly close to that. In general, the ordinance as it was in the packet allowed me to do that, as well as if it was in the C2 district, the downtown area, that rooftop deck could get larger. It could be the entire size of the property, of the building. And the way that it's changed, the way that Stan is suggesting, this would allow you to have them larger downtown, but still only 50% in the rest of the city. And I don't think that's what you're trying to.
That's fine. I'm good with that for now.
Okay. Just want to
I'm
make
good
sure
with
that
that
we're
for
getting
now.
what you want.
Yep.
Okay.
I,
Was there a second?
this is good.
Okay.
This is good.
There
Yeah,
was a second by Alderman Rapella. And did you have other discussions, Sam?
Sorry, no.
I just want to make sure everyone knew what we were actually getting here when we were done. Because it was about as clear as mud. Okay, could we have a roll call vote, please? Oh, on the amendment, yes. Sorry.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, and then could we have another roll call vote on the as amended?
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. Item number 3 is ordinance 7. Alderman Schmidt?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion on 0-7-22 and ordinance, ugh, I can't even talk tonight, amending Title 13, making certain changes to the district, parcel number 4-00783-23 from R1 Single Family Residential to C1 General Commercial District.
Second. So motion is second by Alderman Tom Grady. Is there discussion on this item? Alderman Rapella.
Thank you, Mayor. Boy, after listening to the couple gentlemen that live in the Housing Association, and then also to Mr. Whitman, and I know that they both have their different arguments, their concerns, and right now, it is commercial, and even if it does get to be residential, there's going to be some type of building there. So no matter what, those cranes are going to be disrupted by any type of building there. And so that's where I'm facing a conundrum here, because both of you have valid arguments. And it's almost like, in order for us to save the cranes, that land has to be deemed unusable. And I can understand where Mr. Whitman understands about he's only giving up 1.5 acres out of his 12 acres, and I've been down that little path with Mr. Whitman a long time when I was a little kid, so I know exactly where that whole thing is. And I understand the crane issue. And so I'm facing a struggle here. So I'll open it up to the rest of the council and listen to what they have to say. Thank you.
Alderman Grady.
Thank you, Mayor. I too grew up in that area, played a lot of baseball with Terry, the gentleman that did talk. And I understand where he's coming from with both his parents deceased now and coming up with that additional income every year to pay the taxes. And he's not giving up all his land or all that property, he's just giving up a very small portion. And he has a legitimate buyer, a gentleman that did grow up in Menasha, and is a very, very sound individual. He's gonna park his trucks there, and that really will be about it. So I understand the need to save wildlife and do everything else, but if we took that approach on everything, there would be no buildings anywhere. So I'm going to vote for this rezoning, and wish, luck for everyone else that's involved in this.
Alderman Grady.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I'll address the wildlife. Seeing I live in the middle of the city, which ended up having 15 or 16 condominiums built behind my property. I still have up to 7 or 8 deer that come in and graze on that property. There are sandhill cranes there, and there are fox, turkeys, so I don't think you're going to drive out too much of the wildlife in this area because they really don't have any place. They'll just keep coming. So, thank you.
Alderman Schmidt.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to address this as well. Yes, I did go and I walked through the property. I understand the very concerns that you have. I too am a Menasha girl. I grew up there, went to Whitman, bounced on the trampolines. That was all woods back in there back in the day. Before any of the condos were built, before any of the apartments were built, that was all kind of wetlands, woods for miles and miles and miles, and things have gotten developed. I'd like the fact that, part of that is still going to stay the same, that the Whitmans are going to keep part of that as well. I think that Craig's business is a very viable business as well going in there. I've seen his plans, I've talked to him about certain things, and it's going to end up being, like you say, something is going to go in there. Either a home was going to go in there, or it could be another small business of some kind that wouldn't be anything with trucks, but at some point in time, it's going to get developed. It's unfortunate. We live in the city. We're landlocked. We have nowhere else to go except what we have within our city. We're trying to build some tax base. The Whitmans are trying to get some money to help, eliminate some of the outlay that they have as well. I too know Craig, from when he was a kid, growing up in Menasha. He's got a good, viable business. But the only thing I would like to just turn over is I did talk to Sam about the whole notification process, and I was wondering if Sam could just touch base on that as far as what exactly the notification process is in terms of what we talked about being notified within 100 feet. So I'll just turn it over to Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman Schmidt. I was actually trying to wave down because I forgot to address that. I did get a notification, as Mr. Martin had stated, prior to the Plan Commission meeting, and it had noted the location of the sign and being notified in that manner, and had questioned not being given an actual letter. Following the Plan Commission meeting, we did look into this a little bit. So again, being a condo association, none of the actual condos or the residents are within 100 feet. The first building is approximately like 125 feet off the road. We do have, what we have are our mailing list as far as who that does get mailed to. And we do have the Whitman Park Condo Association on that list with an address of 1320 Whitman Park Lane. Why the notice was not given or gotten to the correct individuals, we don't know. We have not gotten a return address on that yet. However, since we were notified of that early enough, we did add Mr. Martin to that email list, so he did get copies of the official notice for tonight's meeting, as well as we have exchanged multiple emails and try to keep in good communications with them. So I just wanted to add that, again, we have gone through the proper procedures in that manner. Not exactly sure why that address, that letter did not make it. But in addition, that is one of the reasons the city of Menasha did adopt that policy of the sign. We're probably one of, actually I know a second community that has now done that, but we're one of the few in the entire region that actually has implemented that sign policy, because there are a lot of individuals outside of 100 feet that don't get a direct mailing. So we did adopt that a couple of years ago, and it's good to see that that is working.
Alderman Rappella.
Thank you, Mayor. Sam, probably a question for you. As far as the wetland issues of that property, are you aware of those wetland issues on that 1.5 acre?
So the hard part is we're looking at a rezoning. What types of use? So until we actually get into the details of an actual building plan and a site plan, we wouldn't really get into the actual weeds of that. I believe, again, preliminary documentation I have seen, yes, there likely is wetlands, but there's wetlands throughout the entire country. In the DNR and the Federal Army Corps of Engineers have certain regulations of what can and what cannot be disturbed, and how to work around those things. And Dable Engineering, I know, who is working very closely with the purchaser here, or the applicant, is very much aware of wetland regulations. They actually have an assured delineator on staff. What that means is they actually can go out and look for wetlands without getting a second confirmation from a DNR individual. So again, they are very professional in that manner.
So in other words, Mr. Korth would be made avail, or he'd be told about where the wetlands are and possibly what he couldn't, the land that he needs to leave kind of untouched.
Yep, so through any engineering process, architectural process to develop a property, that is usually a process to get a wetland delineation, to look at the site. So that will be, if it has not already been accomplished, yes, it will be done.
So Craig, do you know where the wetlands are?
Yes.
And you,
Randy, we,
You can't.
yeah,
can't
we're not-
ask to him? Okay. Can we pass notes? Okay, all right.
There is a 100-year-old map also that it's the middle of those acres between the town and Menasha Park, Fox Crossing Park.
Okay.
So tonight, what we're discussing though is the zoning, not
Okay.
the actual building.
Understood, yes.
Do you have anything else, Randy? Any other discussion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Schrader, for going through that notification process and exactly what happened with everyone. I'm glad to see that the signs work. I was part of getting that moving at the Plan Commission level several years ago, so it's good to see that the signs work. Otherwise, you wouldn't have known till much later in the process. Director Schrader, if the zoning change passes tonight, then thinking ahead beyond that, the property owner would need to submit a site plan that follows city ordinance, and in those city ordinances, there are requirements for the building, the pavement, and landscaping, correct?
Correct. So any new construction does require plan commission approval through a site plan review, and we do look at all those details. So again, one of the communities in the region that actually goes through a public process with that, yes.
And is this the kind of use that would require a special use permit?
So looking at the rezoning, And what has been discussed this evening in regards to that, that proposed use would require a special use permit. So there would be a second round of public hearings as well as plan commission as well and common council approval.
Okay, and it's through that process then that that neighbors could express their concerns again about potential landscaping requirements and buffers and all of those sorts of things, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carries 6-0.
Item 4 is Ordinance 8. Is there a motion? Alderman Schmidt?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve Ordinance 0-8-22, an ordinance amending Title 13 by making certain changes to the district at 529th Street, parcel as listed on our packet, from R1 Single Family Residence District to C1 General Commercial District.
Second.
So motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carries 6-0.
Item N is public comments on any matter that was listed on the agenda this evening. If anyone from the public wishes to speak? No? Go ahead. If I could have you come up front, otherwise we can't hear you on the recording.
Hello. Just on the airport road, just curious, it's about a $200,000 difference. So what was the reasoning behind going with concrete?
So you could talk with Director Gordon after the meeting if you want to, but we don't typically have discussions with the council members and the public during a meeting like this, because it's not publicly noticed to do that.
Okay.
So, but yeah. Okay, seeing no one else. And Randy, you want to talk about outgoing council members? Is that what you wanted to talk about as well? Okay, hold on, I've got a couple things here first, and then we'll let you go afterwards. It's unfortunate that our 2 outgoing council members couldn't be here tonight, but I did want to take a moment just to thank them for their contributions to the city. We do have a plaque for each of them. I don't know if I'm talented enough to hold both of them up at the same time. But first, James Taylor was first appointed as an alderman in 1995, so that's before a lot of us were born, I think, right? Most of us. And he really has been a huge Menasha booster for his entire life. He served as the council president and as committee chair several times during that time in office. He's dedicated countless hours to special events downtown. That's how I got to know James. He especially was very active in First Eve and Otto Grunsky. He was very active on the Menasha Action Council for years, helping enhance our downtown. If any of you have had a chance to see his slideshow, it's pretty tremendous, showing how Menasha has changed over the years. It's still in 2, what are those things called? Carousels and actual slides. It's a pretty neat show, though. And it kind of tells our story from the marina forward. Many of you don't know, but he owned a downtown business for a while, and currently he's a top-rated Airbnb host, and he does a great job showcasing our community to people from out of town. And he really loves our community, so we want to thank him for his service here over the years. And then also Mark Langdon, who couldn't be here tonight as well. Mark grew up in Neenah, but he has adopted Menasha as his home, and he's very proud to tell people that. He was first elected in 2010, and then he was elected again after a brief interlude in 2018. He chaired the Board of Public Works for several terms, and he tirelessly worked to complete our new Public Works facility and make sure that all happened. He's a big supporter of Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue and worked very hard to ensure that their facilities were up to date over the years. And he cheered for the Menasha Twins. His son was a player on the Twins and really worked for those upgrades to Coslow Field to make that a showcase as well. So I want to take this opportunity to thank both of them. If anyone else has comments regarding our 2 outgoing aldermen or any of our outgoing committee members, this would be the time to make them. Alderman Rapella?
Thank you, Mayor. I just got a phone call from Mark just within the last couple hours, and he just wishes to thank his fellow alderpersons and the department heads for their efforts throughout throughout the past years. He really appreciates all the hard work that was done by the city, and he was a little disappointed with the election process, and he would have obviously preferred a different outcome. So Mark is disappointed, but he wants to thank everybody for all their hard work. So again, thank you very much, and Mark had a soft spot for all of you. So thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn, signed aye? So motion to adjourn by Alderman Schmidt and a second by Alderman Tom Grady. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
The University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh Fox Cities campus assists the City of Menasha with video recordings of city meetings. Menasha residents and interested parties can get information about city meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the city website, www.cityofmenasha-wi.gov. To express opinions about City of Menasha issues or these broadcasts, contact the Mayor's office, 920-967-3608. Contact a city alderman. Contact information appears on the website. Or complete the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.